Welcome back to Small Group. Let's start out today's group by talking about our 5 G's. The 5 G's are the 5 areas we work on to help us to become more like Jesus. They are grace, growth, group, gifts, and giving. Today we're going to talk about the group G. No one was meant to do life alone, not even God. That's why He created us. He wants to have a relationship with us, and that is clearly seen through the life of Jesus. Jesus had people He hung out with and did life with, so that's why we do small group. Today I want us to take a few minutes and discuss small group, specifically this small group. When the questions come up, take a few minutes and discuss them. When you're done, press the play button and we'll continue. So there's this place in Atlanta called Hankook Taqueria. It's literally a hole-in-the-wall kind of place. But they have these French fries. They're actually sesame fries. And they're just about the best thing I've ever eaten. Literally. I'd slap my mama to get a basket of them. I'm always telling people about this place and encouraging them to check it out. It's really good. Now, what about you? What's an experience you've had that was so good you had to tell people about it? Take a few minutes and go around the room and talk about that. So my family and I were at Disney World several years ago. My son was probably 8 or 9 years old at the time. The resort we were staying at had a really awesome pool and a water slide. It wasn't a huge water slide. It had a couple of turns and you really didn't go that fast, but it was still fun. But my son refused to do it. He was a great swimmer and, the slide dumped out and he could easily swim or even stand where he was at, so there was nothing dangerous about it. He was just scared. Now, I knew how much fun the water slide was, and I knew how much fun he'd have if he just went down it one time. He refused. But I just knew that he would love it, and it kind of upset me knowing he was missing out. So I did what any good father would do. I drug him to the top, kicking and screaming, and I threw him down the slide. And for the next 2 or 3 hours, he must have gone down that slide 500 times. He loved it. It was the highlight of his vacation. As a matter of fact, after we'd officially checked out of the resort, we went back and he did it a few more times before we left. See, I knew how great the water slide was, and I just had to get my son on it so he could experience it for himself. In the 2nd chapter of Mark, there's a story of a group of men that go to great lengths to get their paralyzed friend to Jesus. See, Jesus is teaching in this house, and Mark writes, they couldn't bring him to Jesus because of the crowd, so they dug a hole through the roof above his head. Then they lowered the man on his mat right down in front of Jesus. So they climb up on top of the house, cut a hole in the roof, and lower the man down to Jesus. This group of men knew how badly their friend needed Jesus, and they wouldn't stop until they were able to get their friend to him. There was a point in your life that you needed Jesus, and now you found him and you follow him. Or maybe you're on the front end of figuring out the whole Jesus thing, and there's something inside of you urging you to figure out this whole God thing. Regardless of where you are right now, the fact is there are a lot of people out there that need Jesus too. If we know how great a relationship with Jesus is, why would we not do everything we can to get people to Jesus, just like the men in the story? Now, I'm not advocating dragging them to church, kicking and screaming like I did my son to the water slide, but the kicking and screaming was worth it once I saw the joy on his face. Think of the joy you have now because of your relationship with Jesus. Don't you want your friends, neighbors, co-workers, and family to have that same joy? To what lengths will you go to make that happen?